Hello and good evening. Thank you so very much for tuning into episode 2 for my podcast, the 𝗬cie Coney Podcast. So again, I am Stephanie Coney. I'm the owner and founder of London Consulting and Insurance Firm. And this has been such a robust week for me. I've been super busy. I am also a part of NAREB, which stands for National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And this is our holiday for us across the country with all of our chapters. And I'm a part of our local chapter, which is GDRIP, Greater Detroit Realtors Association. And we have been busy all last week in the community promoting Black home ownership. Particularly within the city of Detroit, but everywhere. But the city of Detroit has a lot of programs and incentives to invite people to move back into the city. So we were just filled with excitement and activities every day of last week. And also, one of those activities was a mix and mingle that was hosted by our Women's Council of Southeastern Michigan, which is also an affiliate of Greater Detroit Realtors Association. And we recognized 6 phenomenal, beautiful women for their tireless work in the community. And I just want to quickly just go over those recipients. I thank them so much for being a part of this. But we had the Honorable Janet Jackson, we had Tiffany Tilley, we had Marilyn Mayberry, we had the Honorable Sherry Gay Nadego, and we had Dr. Nicole Parker. So thank you, ladies. And last but not least, as a bonus and as a surprise, we also had to recognize and do a huge thank you to our president of Women's Council of Southeastern Michigan, Dr. 𝗬𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. So thank you so much for all that all of you ladies do and how you have inspired each of us in some way. So the question for today is business insurance required by state law? And I will keep this short and to the point and just kind of focus on the state of Michigan. Now, we are located, London Consulting and Insurance, in Michigan, Ohio, Georgia, New Hampshire, Virginia, Texas, and we have just officially added the state of Florida. But for this question, I'm going to keep it specific to the state of Michigan, okay? So in the state of Michigan, business insurance is not required. However, workers' compensation is. So if you have 3 or more employees and they're working over, you have 3 or more employees and they're working at least 35 hours a week, the state of Michigan says that you have to have workers' compensation insurance. And if you just have one person, if they're working full-time, 52 weeks, you should have it for them as well. Now, that doesn't include your contractors. Your employees are your W-2 employees, the ones that you're paying payroll taxes for. Your subcontractors, you can get workers' compensation for them, especially if you're writing their salary off with your taxes. It kind of balances it out. It has to read the same story, okay? It has to make sense on paper. So you can, it's not required that you have workers' compensation for your subcontractors or your 1099 people. But it is, it's suggested depending on your situation. Each situation is different. You can also include yourself as the business owner to be covered for workers' compensation as well. I'm a small business owner. I have workers' compensation for myself and my staff because I'm susceptible to get hurt too. Something could happen to me. And so the state does say that in those instances. Now, if you're looking to get a contract, let's say with a municipality or with another corporation altogether, the first thing they're going to ask you for is a certificate of insurance. And what's on that certificate of insurance? It's showing your liability coverage and your workers' compensation, because nobody wants to be liable for something that they don't need to be liable for. So when you're taking on these jobs and you're looking to get these contracts and grow and take your business to the next level, please include this in your budget, the workers' comp. Now, let's talk about that. How do we determine when you call me and ask me for a quote for workers' compensation? How is that determined? How is that quote derived? Well, it is based off the number of employees that you have, and it's based off the size of the payroll. Like, how much are you paying them? Are they full-time? Are they part-time? Are they seasonal? And the most important thing would be their job description. So if you own a construction company and you have workers who do hard labor for you, they're, W-2 employees, but you also have your administrative staff who just answer the phone, and the other may just do your estimates and invoices. Well, we're not going to charge the same amount for their job description, your admins, as we would as the contractors, those who are going out in the field and doing the hard labor. So it is important that you provide the correct information, because workers' compensation policies are audited. Yes, they are. They're audited by the state. So they want to make sure that the information you put down is matching up to everything. Your taxes is matching up to everything that you say you're doing. So be mindful of that, because I have seen in several cases where, the business owner is now owing the state of Michigan because they didn't properly record that information. I've also seen in some instances where the business owner has received a credit. So you want to make sure that that information is correct. Now, key question here. What is workers' compensation? Like, what does it cover? Why does the state say I need to have it? Well, workers' compensation will cover your employees in the event that they sustain an injury at the workplace, on a work site, and doing their scope of work. So the benefits would include wage replacement, as well as medical expenses. So that is something, that is what it covers. And, that's why the state says you should have it, because if someone gets injured working for you, they should be covered. It also helps to help with your liability as a business owner for injuries that, take place. It relieves your liability portion for injuries that could take place at your place of business. Now, business insurance is not the same as workers' compensation insurance. I just briefly told you what workers' compensation is. It's for your employees. It's if they're injured doing their scope of work. Business insurance, however, covers the actual business. So that's what's going to cover you for your liability for something that maybe the employee was negligent. Maybe you were, as a business owner, negligent with performing a task, and you're being sued. It covers that, but it also covers the business. So let's say that you are a contractor and you have expensive tools and equipment that you use every day, and something happens, they mysteriously disappear. They're gone. Someone stole them. Okay. You want to make sure that you're covered for that too. Or let's say you're a restaurant owner, you own the building. You want to make sure there's some coverage, some property damage, coverage on that building in case there's a fire or a natural disaster occurs. So we always, tend to think about the other person when we're looking to get these contracts, because it says we have to have liability insurance. But think about yourself as well. Don't be so quick to exclude yourself as the business owner for the workers' compensation policy. And don't be so quick to just say you just need general liability and not an actual business owner's policy, which covers you as well in case something happens in the event of a claim. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to me. This is the second episode of the 𝗬cie Coney podcast, where we discuss is business insurance required by law? And the answer is yes, if it's workers' compensation. And it's based off how many employees that you have that dictates if the law says, the state of Michigan says that you have to have it. Also, business insurance is not required, but I strongly suggest it, not just to cover you for what you're liable for, but to cover you in the event that you lose something. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm 𝗬cie Coney, and have a blessed day.